Hi everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ellie, and today it is time for my non-fiction November wrap-up. So I didn't read nearly as many books as I was hoping to, and also didn't read most of the ones that were on my TBR, but I'm going to talk about that in more depth tomorrow. So today we're just going to go through the ones that I did read, plus an extra one that I wanted to mention, and we'll just get into it. So started the month off and I thought, let's start with some short books because I got some really big ones on my TBR, and then I mostly just read short ones and didn't touch most of the big ones. So I started off with The Brontes, The Fantastically Feminist and Totally True Story of the Astonishing Authors by Anna Doherty. This was the last one I had in this little series. There's one on Ada Lovelace and another on Michelle Obama. These are just beautiful books. I'm counting them as non-fiction even though they are children's non-fiction. And yeah, they're just filled with gorgeous illustrations. And I love this series. It's beautiful. I've talked about it before. Absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful gifts as well. Let's see. Gonna have to get creative back there, I think. Then one that was on my TBR was A Field Guide to Getting Lost by Rebecca Solnit. I didn't like this one. I've really liked the previous two books that I've read from Solnit, but this one just wasn't it. And I'm really disappointed because this one had been really hyped up for me, including in other books. So I was like fully ready for this to be one of like the greatest books I ever read. Solnit is not an easy writer for me to read. She's quite complex and I don't always understand her ideas, but usually I can at least appreciate them. And this one nope. I am going to keep this. Usually I get rid of books I don't like, but I think that maybe like in like 10 years when I'm in my mid-30s, maybe I will come back to this and it'll be something that resonates with me more. I think that this is kind of, it speaks more to people who have lived a little bit and that sort of thing. And like I'm 25 and obviously right now we're not really doing much living, so yeah, this is gonna be a mess back there. Then I went a really long time where I didn't read anything non-fiction because I was working on one of the bigger ones that I finished and another one that I didn't, but I did pick up Expletives Deleted by Angela Carter. Love Angela Carter. This one I gave 3 stars, mostly because this is mostly about this is like reviews of books and I hadn't read most of them, so or even heard of them, so it was a little bit complicated to try and work out what this big book was that I had literally never heard of, though there was a really great one in here about Jane Eyre, and I think if not for that one I would have just given up on this and come back to it and see if I could read some of the books, and I might still go on and read some of the ones that were mentioned in here, but that one on Jane Eyre was spectacular. Okay, back to a really, really big book. Again, counting this one, even though it's kind of non-fiction, it's complicated. This is Sketches from a Nameless Land, The Art of the Arrival by Shaun Tan. So this is a book. The Arrival is a picture book, graphic novel sort of thing. And this is, a book talking about his thought process and different artworks and things. I'm counting this as non-fiction because it is telling the story of a story, so it's not it's not a fictional account, it's his process of art. So counting it, love this. Sean Tan is one of my favorite authors. Kind of sad because this is the last book of his that I had on my shelf. I've still got a whole bunch of his that I haven't read, but I don't own any of them, so I'm kind of sad, but also happy because it means that I have one less book on my TBR. Okay, keeping with the art theme, I then went on and read, this one's very floppy, The Guerrilla Girls' Bedside Companion to the History of Western Art, which is by the Guerrilla Girls, who are a bunch of kind of like art activists, I guess. You may have seen things that they've done before. Let's see if I can... I will just put a picture of one of their most famous like posters up there, which is about the Met Museum and the women, the female artists in there. So this is just kind of like a look through of Western art, talking about different artists and whatnot. Yes, love this. It was really good. I had to laugh at a review that was on Goodreads that I just have to mention because I just find it so hilarious, where someone, this person left a review saying like, oh, it was a good book, but it was completely ruined by the fact that they put gorilla heads on the pictures, which is the whole thing kind of like the Guerrilla Girls do. They wear gorilla masks so no one knows who they are, and it was just funny to me. Like, this isn't the kind of book that you pick up because you want to see the art in it. It's a book because you want to understand more about female artists and whatnot, and it's a humorous take on it. It's quite sarcastic and whatnot, but yeah, I really liked it. Keeping with the art theme, I also finished off Women, Art and Society by Whitney Chadwick. I mentioned this one in my mid-month update, and yeah, this is a huge book. It is so heavy, and it took me quite a while to get through it. I think I bought it maybe mid-month, and I think, oh no, it would have been like at the very, no, it was at the very end of October, I think, and it took me the entire month to read it, partly because it's very dense and but it's also like it's very heavy and it like physically hurts to like keep it open. Yes, loved this though. Learn about so many different female painters, artists that I didn't know about, as well as learning more about some of my favorites like Frida Kahlo and Artemisia Gentileschi and different people like that. And I will talk about this again when I do a couple of videos I'm going to mention in one that's coming later this month, and then at some point I will have another non-fiction haul. It's looking like maybe not until like February or March, but I'll eventually talk about this in a haul as well. Finally, finished off the month with The Lady and Her Monsters, A Tale of Dissections, Real Life Dr. Frankensteins and the Creation of Mary Shelley's Masterpiece by Rosianne Montiello. I reread Frankenstein at the end of October, so I was in the mood. This took me again an entire month to get through, for a couple of reasons. One, just didn't particularly interest me most of the time, and some of it was just like, not like gruesome, but just kind of like not really the stuff I necessarily wanted to be reading about. And also it has deckled edges, and I know that deckled edges are gorgeous and we all love them, but they are so difficult to read. Like, they just kept getting stuck, and it would take me so long to get through the book because I spent half the time trying to flip the pages. And yeah, so gave this one 3 stars. Just didn't really enjoy what was in it either. So, yep. And this one I didn't actually read, but I wanted to talk about it. This is I Choose Alina by Lucia Osborne Crowley. I wanted to mention it because I think it's a really great book and I think it's very powerful, but I had to stop reading it because 2 or 3 chapters in, it talks a lot about dealing with chronic illness and chronic pain, and one of the experiences that Osborne Crowley had was literally something I'd gone through earlier this year, with getting records from hospitals and then kind of finding out what doctors actually wrote about me and my condition. She goes through a very similar thing, and it's also quite traumatic for her, and that was just like, nope, can't do that. Not this year. So wanted to mention it because I think it is a book that a lot of people could get a lot from, but yeah, also a huge trigger warning for doctors being assholes. Just throwing it out there. Yeah, so didn't read it, but I wanted to mention it. Again, this is one I'm going to keep, and I think in a couple of years that hopefully I'm doing better. And I will might try it again. We'll see. But yeah, those are all the non-fiction ones that I read. And tomorrow I will be talking about the ones that I didn't read and why and that sort of thing. If you're interested in that, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye.